We're going to take a deep dive into the credit score, the system, the modeling, how it works from A to Z. All right, so grab a pen, grab a paper. This is going to help you. So we know that we don't know. This is where we learn that, okay, we're not competent at something. I don't know how to do it. And this comes as a big surprise for many, many people. You know, people think all the time, I got to have the right words. I got to be sharp. I have to be able to answer every single question, right? Or I have to become really successful, and then people are going to enlist into my vision. That's not the case. Another episode of Money Mondays. Are you guys fired up? Are you excited? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me in the chat, okay? Awesome, awesome. Great to see you, champions. I am excited to be here with you on Money Monday. Hey, listen, if you have a team member or a guest or someone that is supposed to be here with you tonight, reach out to them and make sure they're on the call with you, because today is going to be a powerful, powerful, powerful session. And we are going to have some fun tonight. So let me share my screen and we're going to jump right into it, because time is money. Do you agree? Now, welcome to Money Monday. All right, welcome to Money Monday. We're excited to have you here. We're excited that you are able to take the time to be here. We're here every single Monday, Money Monday, and we talk about money, how to keep more of it in your pocket, how to save more of it. And, you know, I made a post earlier on and I was talking about financial illiteracy is one of the biggest reasons why people lose money. They lose their savings. They end up spending hundreds, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars without even knowing. So next week, we're going to be here at 8 o'clock. Invite a friend, invite a family member, invite a colleague, and let's learn together. Let's grow together. Make sense? Let's have some fun today. Let's talk about some really cool things. You know, first, I want to talk to you about learning any skill. You see, one of the things that people have a difficulty doing is learning a particular skill. And I'm going to talk to you today about how you can learn any skill that you want. Think about what that could do for you, what that could do for your life, what that could do for your business, what that could do for any area. All right, think about this for a second. So there's 4 stages of learning. And if you understand these 4 stages of learning, you can learn any skill, and that skill will help you to get to your next level. And what you'll do is you'll start to focus on learning the skill and keep on focus on learning rather than focusing on any type of mistakes or things like that that will happen. Make sense? So you don't want to focus on the mistakes. You want to focus on the skills. So the first thing is, the first level is unconscious competence. Unconscious competence. So this is where we don't know what we don't know. You know, my 5-year-old, when my son was 5 years old, he saw an older boy riding a bicycle, and the little boy was riding the bicycle without any training wheels. And my son saw that and he wanted to try riding his bicycle without any training wheels. But what he didn't know was he didn't know how to ride the bicycle. And most of us in business, we've never had any extensive feedback on our interpersonal skills, our communication skills. So at this state, we're unconsciously incompetent. We don't know that we don't know, right? So the next one is conscious incompetence. So the next one is conscious incompetence. So we know that we don't know. This is where we learn that, okay, we're not competent at something. I don't know how to do it. And this comes as a big surprise for many, many people. You know, for my son, he gets on the bike after we remove the training wheels, right? He jumps on and then he immediately falls off. And right away, he goes from stage 1 to stage 2, where he knows that he doesn't know now. Now he's aware that he doesn't know. And this is stage number 2. And stage number 3 is unconscious competence. This is where we start to work at what we don't know, right? We start to work on it. Here we're consciously making an effort to learn a new skill, to practice, to drill, and we're just doing it over and over and over. This is where we're using our mind to just practice over and over and over and over again. And this is where most learning takes place. And it takes effort and it takes work. So my son, going back to that example, he worked relentlessly at riding the bicycle, right? But he's still thinking about what he's doing. He's careful with the steering, right? He's careful with the balancing. He's careful with the pedaling, and he's thinking about what he's doing step by step. And he can only think about what he's doing. He can't use his mind for other things. His mind is only focused on what he's doing. This level is called conscious competence. And then level number 4 is unconscious competence. Unconscious competence. So here, we don't have to think about knowing it. Here, the skills, they happen automatically at an unconscious level. So my son, he's riding the bicycle now without even thinking about it. In fact, he came and he said, "Daddy, can you take off the training wheels?" We took them off and we threw them in the garbage, right? He threw them in the garbage. So now he's riding, he can, whistle, he can talk, he can sing, he can do other things with his mind at the same time while he's riding, right? He's riding without thinking. This is unconscious competence. And this is the ultimate goal. This is the ultimate goal. So the individual or the person that's practicing, what happens is they've had so much practice with a skill that has become second nature to them. And they can perform it very, very easily. So as a result, what happens is the skill can be performed while they're doing other tasks. They can, do something else while they're performing that skill. And what's really cool, at this level, the individual might be able to teach it to other people, right? So the key is to recognize where you're at in the 4 stages of learning and then be patient with yourself. Recognize exactly where you're at with these 4 stages. Maybe you're in stage number 1, maybe you're in stage number 2, maybe you're in stage number 3 or stage number 4, but it's to realize exactly where you are and position yourself to the next level, right? Move yourself to the next level. And the ultimate level is unconscious competence, all right? Unconscious competence. Hey, I want to switch gears with you for a second. Think about this for a second. Let's say you go to the bank and you apply for a credit card. Or let's say you want a house. You want to buy a house, right? So you go and you find the house that you want. Then you go to the mortgage lender and you apply for a loan. Or let's say you want to purchase a new car. So you shop around, you go to different dealers, right? Shop around, you find the one that you like, and you ask the dealer for a car loan. Or let's say you want to rent a place. So you go around, you look at different homes, different apartments, you find the one that you like, and then you go to the landlord and you decide to do the landlord-tenant agreement. You decide to sign off on it. What will all of these companies do before going ahead? You know what they're going to do? They're going to check your credit score for one simple reason, because lenders, they want to know one thing: how you have handled debt in the past, right? And that is going to tell them how likely you're going to handle it in the future. So today's topic is what everyone must know about their credit score. We're going to take a deep dive into the credit score, the system, the modeling, how it works from A to Z. All right, so grab a pen, grab a paper. This is going to help you. Last week, we were talking about financial independence, and one of my points was to monitor your credit score. Okay, one of my points was to monitor your credit score, and many people were talking about how that works. How does the credit score work? So today we're going to do a deep dive into the credit score and how it works. So I hope you're fired up about that, and I hope you're excited about that, and it's going to change you. All right. So let's start with the beginning. What is your credit score? So your credit score essentially it's a 3-digit number, and it comes from the information that's on your credit report, right? So what it does is it shows how well you manage credit, how risky it's going to be for you, all right, for a lender or someone that issues credit. How risky is it going to be for the lenders to lend you money? And your credit score, it's calculated, like I said, from the information. They use a formula, which I'm going to show you, that's on your credit report. One thing you got to understand or remember or keep in mind is the higher your credit score, the better. The higher your credit score, the better. So what are the main factors when it comes to your credit score? How is your credit score calculated? Interesting stuff here. First thing is your payment history. This information is how you repay the credit that you've already had. All right, the credit that you already had, different credit accounts that you've already used in the past, they want to see how you've repaid it. So your credit cards, your line of credit, you go to the Home Depot or Walmart or, any of those stores that have the retail department store accounts. Car loans is on there, student loans. If you take out a home equity line of credit, or you have a mortgage, whether for your primary residence or your secondary residence, or maybe you have a vacation property somewhere, or maybe you have an investment property somewhere, all of these payments get tracked on your credit report, which derives your credit score. Now, there's two parts to the payment history, and the first part is the payment on time. So they're looking as to how well you pay things on time. And the second part is the late or missed payments and also the collection information, right? So your credit score is going to look at how late your payments were, how much was owed, how recently and how often you missed the payment. Now, your credit history is also going to tell the lender how many of your credit accounts were delinquent in relations to all of the accounts that you have on file. So let's say that you have, a credit card here, you have a home equity line of credit here, you have a mortgage there, a car loan there, and let's say you have 12 different credit accounts, right? And let's say you've had late payments on 6 of those accounts, then the ratio is going to impact your credit score. So because, 6 of them out of the 12, a 50% ratio, it's too high, it's going to have a negative impact on your credit score. Make sense? So that's very, very important that you understand. So 35% goes towards payment history. The second one is your used credit versus available credit. So what this does is it analyzes how much of the total available credit is being used on your credit cards or your other credits, right? Line of credit, all of your credits total, revolving credits, all of those things. So it wants to see, are you using all of the credit that you were giving? By the way, a revolving line of credit is basically a loan that allows you to borrow and repay, then reuse the credit up to its limit, right? So you borrow, you repay, you borrow, you repay, and it's revolving. Also, what's included in the area is the total credit limit. So this is the maximum that you can borrow against any particular credit. So let's say you have a $2,500 credit card, or let's say you have a $10,000 credit card. And what it's looking for is, out of that $10,000, how much have you used? The more you have used, the more negative it affects your credit score, right? You don't want to utilize all of the credit that's on your credit card. And I'll go into this in more details in a second. The next is your credit history. So your credit history, what this section does is it looks at your credit file and it sees how long your credits has been in existence. So your credit score, the calculation, it's typically including both your youngest and your oldest. So your newest and your oldest credit accounts, how long it's been open, right? And then the next one is public records. So public records is those people that they had a prior history, let's say a bankruptcy, or maybe they had a collection, or maybe they had negative public records and that were considered to be risky, and they put that on their credit report. All right. So if you have these events showing on the credit score or on the credit report, rather, it impacts the credit score negatively. Then we have inquiries. So inquiries, what this is anytime an individual, their credit file is accessed for any reason, but maybe a lender requested it, whoever requested it, it's logged on the report. So you can go and check your report and you can see who has requested your credit score or your credit report. You personally can check. No one is allowed to check your credit score without your permission, right? Every time someone checks it, it means you would have given them permission to check it. Make sense? Is that making sense so far? So now the only inquiries that are going to impact your credit score, because many people don't want people checking their credit score because they're thinking, okay, if too many people are checking my credit score, it impacts it. Yes and no. Only hard inquiries does that. What's a hard inquiry? And I'm going to go into more details in a second. A hard inquiry is someone that is looking for a new loan or a credit card or something of the sort. That's known as a hard inquiry. And we're going to discuss hard inquiry and soft inquiries later on. So what factors are going to impact your credit score? You know, the challenge that we have is many people are walking around, they only know their credit score when they're going to apply for something. When they're going to get a car loan or a credit card, or they are going to apply for something, that's when they know their credit score. What are the impacts, or what impacts the credit score? And where I want you to end up is where you know your credit score before you apply for something, right? So when it comes to financial progress and credit, it's important that you understand what impacts your score, what impacts your credit report. Let's jump into it. First thing is, are you making your payments on time? This is one of the biggest indicators and key behaviors that all lenders and creditors, they look at. They want to see, are the bills being paid on time? All right, that's the big question. They want to know, are you paying the bills on time? So since this is one of the strongest predictors, if you're going to meet your financial obligation, this is what they use to measure the credit score, or calculate rather the credit score, as a huge part of it. It's one of the most important factors. The next thing is, do you have different types of credit accounts? You see, credit scores, they factor in the mix of different types of credits, right? Credit cards, installment loans, mortgages, store accounts, all of these things, right? So if you have, did you know this? If you have too many different credit accounts, or you don't have a mix of different types of accounts, both can negatively impact your credit score. So too many different credit accounts and not having a mix of different types of credit accounts can negatively impact your score, right? Next thing, how many new credit cards have you opened? You got to be careful that you're not opening up too many accounts at once, and you're not opening up more accounts than you actually need. You see, your credit score usually looks at how many new accounts that you had, as well as how many new accounts that you have applied for recently. So it's looking at both. And if you have too many accounts, people say, well, what's the big deal if I keep opening up new accounts, new accounts, new accounts? What's the big deal? If you have too many new accounts, what this indicates to the creditors and to the lenders is that you're taking on a lot of new debt, and you might be a high-risk borrower. This is how they look at it. This is how they look at it. The other area is how old are your credit accounts? So in general, the creditors, what they're looking to see is how long you have been able to handle your credit accounts over a period of time. They're looking for fiscal responsibility. So credit accounts that have a longer history, right? They show responsible credit behavior. And this goes positively on the credit score. So when they're calculating the credit score, it goes positively. Now, newer accounts, what happens when you have newer accounts, they lower the average age account. So what they're doing is they're taking the average of your new account and your old accounts. So if you have too many new accounts, it goes negatively, right? So every time you get a new credit card, a new mortgage, a new home equity line of credit, a new car loan, all of these things, when they're new, they negatively affect you. As you hold on to them for a longer period of time, it affects your credit score positively. Next thing you got to ask is, are your balances high? And when I say high, I mean in relation to your total credit limit. So if you have a $10,000 credit card, is it maxed out? Is it at the $10,000 mark? The creditors, they want to see a lower debt to credit ratio, sorry. So what's a debt to credit ratio? Well, that's the amount of credit that you're using compared to the overall. So if you have a $10,000 credit card and you've used $5,000, your credit debt to credit ratio is 50%, right? So if all your credit cards, they're maxed out or they're near the limit, it's going to impact the credit score negatively. And what it's telling the lenders, let me tell you how they look at it. What they're seeing is you have too much debt. You have too much debt. This is how they look at it, right? You have too much debt. Next question. Do you have any judgments or liens or foreclosures? You hear someone, oh, they have a lien on my house, or they have a lien on my car, or they have a lien on my boat, or there's this bankruptcy or a delinquency, or their account got reported to the credit collection agency, or any of those things, right? This type of information on your credit history is very negative, very, very negative. So if you've gone through any type of financial hardship and you had to file for bankruptcy, let's say, or you went through foreclosure or any of those things, the credit score, it's impacted negatively. And here's the worst part. For years and years and years, you're impacted, right? You're impacted. So the question comes, we were talking about inquiries, hard inquiries, soft inquiries. Let me just put it very simply. If we have a hard inquiry, it's going to impact the credit score. Not every inquiry is going to impact your credit score. So if you have an individual or a company that's requesting your credit, all right, they want access to your credit report, what's going to happen? Let's say if it's a hard inquiry. What is a hard inquiry? This is when someone is checking it for some sort of credit, maybe for a credit card or a loan, right? You're applying for something that requires your credit. If someone is doing that, it's considered a hard inquiry. What's a soft inquiry? The opposite. This is where you check your own. So you're not looking for credit for yourself. You're just checking your own credit score. There's no impact on your credit score when you check it. All right. This is one of the big myths out there. People think if you check your own credit score, it's going to lower it. It doesn't work that way, right? You can check your credit score every day if you like, and it's not going to touch your score, right? It's not going to impact your score. All right. So one of the things I want to talk about is, and I talked about this last week, but I want to reiterate it this week. Monitor your credit. Check it, right? Check your credit. So you say, Jermaine, that's all fine and dandy. How do I do it? How do I check my credit? Well, you can check your credit by going to Equifax or TransUnion and you sign up, you get an account, you can check it one time or you can pay a monthly fee in order to have it monitored. But either way, you should check your credit score. You should check your report. Reason being, there might be some things that are on your report that you're not aware of. Sometimes mistakes happen. Sometimes there's identity theft or fraud and things are on your credit score and you don't know. You're being penalized for something that you didn't even do. And it's on your credit score, on your credit report, right? And you don't want to wait until you need your score before you're trying to fix it, right? You don't want to wait until, for example, you're going to get a mortgage and then you realize, uh-oh, something's on there. What happened? You want to do that ahead of time because it takes time for them to remove that, right? You need to back up everything, but it will be removed. It just takes time. So you want to make sure you're monitoring your credit report, your credit score. You want to make sure that you check it frequently. Find one of these websites that you feel comfortable with. Tamori and I, we personally use Equifax, right? We have a monthly subscription to Equifax. We can check it every single day if we want to, and they send us a report, and we can go online and pull our credit report anytime that we want, right? I think it's like $20-something to do that every single month. And it's awesome because we are on top of it. We can see what's happening in real time. So if it's one thing that I would really suggest to you, really recommend, is that you monitor your credit, right? You monitor your credit score, monitor what's happening, check it frequently, and that way you can be on top of the game. Make sense? Let me know that you're still with me. Show me something in the chat box. Show me an emoticon or a fire or a thumbs up, or show me something. All right, there we go. Awesome. Hey, by the way, did this help you? Did you find any value with any of this? Did any of this help you? Yeah, awesome. Good. We're going to do more deep dives into credit scores and how it works, because I think it's one of the areas that many people, they don't know, right? They just don't know, and they don't look at it until they need it. And at that point, it's too late, right? It's too late. So you want to look at this stuff ahead of time. And that's why we're always promoting financial literacy. And that leads me into my next topic, how to create a movement. Have you seen people, they're able to just enroll people into their cause, into their vision, into their mission, right? We want to talk about that today. We want to talk about how do you create a movement? How do you create something that people will buy into, will follow what you're doing? All right, let's talk about it. First thing is, we want to create momentum. I want you to understand momentum is the pivot point for all things that are great in business. You must be able to create momentum. That's what you got to be able to create. Can you create momentum? I'm talking to you. I'm looking at you right now. Can you create momentum? Momentum is what wins championships. Have you seen in sports when the team, the home team or the team you're rooting for, they're down, and what happens? They get together and they just create momentum inside the locker room, and they come out a brand new team and they just conquer and win the championship, right? They just win the championship. So what do you got to do? You got to do big things in a short window of time. Not forever. You do big things in a short period of time. Let me teach you exactly how to become magnetic. Write this down. Do big things in a short window of time. That's how you create magnetism. People get attracted to you. And you don't have to do it forever, just for a short period of time. Let me tell you something. Momentum is going to take you further than your talents will ever take you. You see, with momentum, the team that is smaller, the team that is less talented, they can beat a team that's larger and more talented. All right? That's how sports works. That's how business works. That's how your business works. Momentum, right? Momentum. See, momentum can take you further than your talents. Keep that in mind. It can take you further than your talents. You're not going to win with your head. You know what you're going to win with? You're going to win with your heart. You're going to win with your heart. So you don't win in business with your head. I want you to listen to me. You don't win in business with your head. You win with your heart. You win with your emotion. You can express your passion in different types of ways. You know, Tamoy, for example, is very quiet. I'm very loud, right? There's all these different types of ways that you can express your passion, but you have to express your passion. I don't want you to take my word only for it. I'm going to play a video of Steve Jobs, all right? And he's going to talk about exactly what I just mentioned, these two areas, these two keys in winning in business. He built a very large company. How many of you guys are using iPhone? You're using Apple, using all of these. He built a huge company, all right, around these two philosophies. Listen carefully to what Steve says.
People say you have to have a lot of passion for what you're doing, and it's totally true. And the reason is because it's so hard that if you don't, any rational person would give up. It's really hard, and you have to do it over a sustained period of time. So if you don't love it, if you're not having fun doing it and you don't really love it, you're going to give up. And that's what happens to most people, actually. If you really look at the ones that ended up being successful, unquote, in the eyes of society and the ones that didn't, oftentimes it's the ones that are successful loved what they did so they could persevere when it got really tough. And the ones that didn't love it quit because they're sane, right? Who would want to put up with this stuff if you don't love it? So it's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of worrying constantly. And if you don't love it, you're going to fail. So you got to love it. You got to have passion. And I think that's the high order bit. The second thing is you've got to be a really good talent scout, because no matter how smart you are, you need a team of great people, and you've got to figure out how to size people up fairly quickly, make decisions without knowing people too well, and hire them, and see how you do and refine your intuition, and be able to help build an organization that can eventually just build itself. Because you need great people around you.
Thank you. Liz.
Wow. Did you hear that? You need a great team of people around you, no matter how talented you are, because you need people around you to build the vision so that it can build itself. So find great people and be able to build an organization that will then build itself. Very powerful, right? Very powerful. So let me ask you a question. When people are around you, do they get the feeling that you're completely passionate and magnetized about what you're doing? Do you magnetize people to you? People think all the time, I got to have the right words. I got to be sharp. I have to be able to answer every single question, right? Or I have to become really successful, and then people are going to enlist into my vision. That's not the case. That's not the case. The case is you win with your mind, with your heart, not with your head. You win with your heart, not with your head. They need to see the passion in you. People aren't gravitated towards that kind of stuff. You know what people are gravitated towards? You know what attracts people? People are attracted to your courage. How courageous are you? They're attracted to your passion. How passionate are you? They're attracted to your energy. How much energy do you bring? Imagine I'm on this call and I'm very lethargic. Hey, you got to be very excited. You got to enjoy what you're doing, and, you got to have some passion, and let me make sure that you're courageous, right? Imagine that's what I'm bringing to you. You got to have heart. You got to show heart in what you're doing. So if you want to create a movement, here's what you need to do. Momentum. Let's recap. Momentum. Do a lot in a short period of time. Maybe it's scheduling a lot of appointments in the next 30 days. Maybe it's a lot of phone calls in the next 30 days. Maybe you're just filling up your calendar and getting in front of as many people as you can in the next 30 days. Maybe you're doing lots of presentations in the next 30 days. I don't know. But you got to do something, a lot of something in a short period of time. That creates momentum. That creates momentum. Next, you got to have heart. You got to have heart. You win with your heart, not with your head. So you got to show passion for what you're doing. That's what magnetizes you towards people. People can feel your passion. They get pulled into your passion. Right? If you don't have heart, you're pushing people away. Do they feel you? Not hear you. You get what I'm saying? There's a difference. Not hear what you're saying, not see what you're presenting, but do they feel you? Do they feel what's in your heart? You got to transfer what's in your heart into their hearts. And only then will you be able to enlist people to your cause. Steve Jobs said it best. It doesn't matter how talented you are. It doesn't matter how talented you are. You must enlist people to your cause. Listen to me, everyone is enlisting people to their cause. Every organization, the Salvation Army, the United States Army, the Canadian Army, every church organization, everyone is enlisting people to their cause. This is normal. But what attracts people to the cause? What attracts it? It's your heart. It's how people feel when they're around you. So you got to find great people and be able to build an organization that will then build itself. You want to be financially independent? You want other people to be financially independent? This is how you do it. This is how you do it. But people have to feel that, right? They have to feel that. And you got to have a plan as to how you're going to make that happen. You just don't walk out of here and say, hey, it's going to happen. And you think about it, oh, it's going to happen. If you stand in the garden and you say there's no weeds, there's going to be lots of weeds. You're going to be woken. You're going to have a rude awakening. You don't stand in the garden and say there's no weeds, there's no weeds. You look around, you find the weeds and you pluck them out, right? You pluck them out. So you got to have a plan as to how you're going to make this happen. Okay, next. You need to increase the level of importance. When you're talking to people about your vision, about your mission, do people feel that it's important enough? You got to make people feel that. So you got to increase, you got to have a high level of importance so people hear that importance in your voice. You know, have you ever been on the phone with someone and there's just zero urgency in their voice and you're like, I gotta go, right? I need to go. You don't feel that urgency. Don't let that be you. You gotta have urgency in your voice. People know you're going someplace. You're on your way to something, right? So increase your level of importance. If you were to do these 4 things, I promise you, I guarantee you, you're going to enroll and you're going to enlist and you're just going to attract people to your vision and your mission. People are going to want to be around you. You're just going to magnetize people. Isn't that what you want? Right? Isn't that what you want? Isn't that the whole purpose? Isn't that the whole goal? To magnetize people? Hey, listen, I want to tell you, you are on your way to doing something great. You're on your way to becoming successful. But you got to remember those stages, those 4 stages that we talked about earlier on, what stage you're in, and position yourself through those stages. Let's say this is you. And you have a goal and you have a dream. So you're here. And let's say your goal and your dream is over here. 2 things I want to point out to you. Number 1, most people, do you know what they do? They aim right here. They aim. If they're going to jump, right, you're going to jump to your goals and your dreams. Most people, they aim right here. just enough to hit their goals and their dreams. You know what happens to that person that aims right there 99.9% of the time? When they jump, they miss. And they end up down in the ditch. Right? They end up in the ditch. So how do you overcome that? The key is to aim further than your goal. The key is to aim much more further than your goal. That way, when you fall on your goal. Don't aim just enough. Aim past, right? Aim past your goal. I'm going to share something else with you. Another thing people do. This is supposed to be an eye, okay? This is an eye. Don't judge me on my art. Don't judge me on my art. Many people, again, they have a goal, right? So they have this goal. But what happens? You know what they see? They see challenges. Okay? They see the challenge in front of their goal, right? So they don't see the goal. Every time that the challenge comes up, they only see the challenge and it blocks the goal and they forget about why they're doing what they're doing. Have you heard someone, they come to you and they say, hey, you know, I'm going to do this. I'm going to change the world. I have this vision. I have this mission. I'm going to do all of these things, right? And you talk to them a year later and you say, hey, listen, what happened to that big vision you had? What happened to you changing the world? All those things you said you were going to do. And they start listing all of the challenges, why it never happened. And nothing changed, right? What happened? The challenge was too big and they weren't able to see the goal anymore. Many times they forgot even about their goal. What's the solution here? You know what the solution is? The solution, let me tell you, the solution is to have a bigger goal. The solution is to have a bigger goal. So no matter what, you can always see the goal. The goal needs to be bigger than your challenge. My question to you, whatever your goal is, for many of you, it's financial independence. Many of you, it's to help your family. Many of you, it's to pay off debt. Many of you, it's to quit your job and become a full-time entrepreneur. Whatever it is your goal bigger than the challenge? Is your goal bigger than the challenge? Or is your challenges bigger than the goal? This is what separates the men from the boys. This is what separates the women from the girls, right? The men and the women, they have goals that are bigger than their challenges. The boys and the girls, their challenges are bigger than their goals. Which one are you? Right? Which one are you? Now, the next thing I want to talk about is your congruency. How you think. Your thoughts create how you feel. Okay? Your thoughts create how you feel. How you're thinking is going to determine how you feel. Have you heard the person says, oh, I don't feel like doing that today? You're never going to feel like doing it today. Why? Because the thinking is wrong. It's the thinking. If the thinking is negative, the feeling becomes negative. And guess what happens if we have negative feelings? We take negative action. Right? Our thoughts create our feelings, which creates our action. Too many people are worried about the results. Stop worrying about the results. You worry about how you think. Change this thinking to positive thinking. You will start to feel better. And then what will happen? You'll start to take positive action towards your goals and your dreams. I guarantee you, every time that you're supposed to take action towards your goals and your dreams and you don't, let's say you procrastinate, right? What happened? You didn't feel like doing it. You didn't feel like doing it. Why? Because of here. What story we're telling ourselves. You know, Jordan Belfort, one of the sales trainers, he says the only thing between you and your goals and your dreams, and he uses a very colorful word, BS, right? The only thing between you and your dreams is the BS story that you keep telling yourself. The only thing between you and your goals and your dreams is the BS story that you tell yourself. That's here. It's what you think every day. And the funny part about here is no one sees that. Only you. You're the only one that sees it. You're the only one that knows about it. You can say whatever you want. You can act whatever you want, but only you knows what you're thinking. Only you knows what you're really feeling, right? And when these three things line up, we take the right action. Because if we take the right action, but we have the wrong thoughts and the wrong feelings, we don't get the right result. Let me give you an example. If I'm trying to set up an appointment, let's say, I'm trying to set up an appointment to share our vision, to share our mission, but in my mind, I'm thinking that this person, I might be bothering them or they might not need it. How am I going to feel? I'm going to start to feel like I'm bothering them, right? I'm going to start to feel like I'm inconveniencing them. So even though I take the action, I'm not going to get the right results. Because what do? We transfer these feelings, right? This feeling is what we transfer to other people, believe it or not. So remember when I said you win with your heart, not with your head? You have to have the right feeling in your heart in order to win. If you don't have the right feeling, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So these are the areas that you got to look at. By the way, no one can see this because someone will come later and they'll say, Jermaine, I took the right action, but I'm not getting the right results. What was in your heart? What was that secret feeling inside your heart? How did you feel when you were sitting down with that person, when you were making that appointment, when you were showing that presentation, whatever, you were trying to enlist someone into the cause, the mission? What was your true feeling? That's what people buy into, right? That's what people buy into. Many times people say, Jermaine, I don't know, man. People don't listen to me. And they think they have to convince. You don't need to convince anyone of your vision or of your mission. You just need to be convinced. You just need to be convinced. People need to know that you're convinced. You believe in what you're saying. Do you believe in what you're saying? Right? I hope that today was able to bring you some value towards taking yourself and to your mission and growing your vision and doing the things that you want to do in your life. That's my goal, to be the catalyst for you to be able to do the things that you want to do. And I want to be able to empower you to be able to do those things. So hopefully today was able to help you. I really pray that I was able to shift somebody's mind today and shift them towards their goals and their dreams. And that's my vision. That is my mission. And I just want to tell you, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for being here on another Money Monday. We're here every single Monday at 8:00 p.m. We talk about money and the mindset, tangible, intangible things, how to make more, how to save more. And I would just ask you one favor. Don't come by yourself next week. All right? When you come next week, bring someone with you. Bring someone with you. There's a saying, each one, teach one. And that's what we want to do here. Each one, teach one. So if you got value, we don't charge, by the way. We don't charge. There's no cost for you to be on tonight's call. Not a single penny, right? We're not charging for it. We just ask that you share this with others. Each one, teach one. God bless you. Going to play some music. We're going to head out. God bless you. Have yourself an amazing night, and we'll see you at the top. All right? Take care.